Hello everyone, welcome back to the DaniyalZi Show, episode 15. Today we're here with Antoine Joseph. Antoine, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
I've heard a little bit about your story from my colleague, and it seems extensive. You're a professor at Phillips College, and you've run a variety of different businesses. So what does a person in your feet, like how did this start? Like when you were 10 years old, 13 years old, did you know you were going to get into business? Was that going to be your future at that time?
That's a very good question. So when I was young, my father was a building contractor, right? So I'm from the island of St. Lucia in the Caribbean.
St. Lucia.
St. Lucia,
awesome.
Right next to Barbados, right there.
Right next to Barbados.
Yes, absolutely.
Must be a good weather over there.
Yeah, it's great, especially now, right?
Oh yeah.
So we're shooting in February, and St. Lucia right now is like 80 degrees, nice and warm. I could be on the beach, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But so my dad was into constructing, and my idea was to be a building contractor. Yeah. So since I was young. And I guess an element of that is entrepreneurship. So I think from a young, I had that element of the DNA,
that
my father was a
yeah.
Absolutely. And so in my younger days, that was it. And to the extent I want to be an entrepreneur, on the opposite side, I hated school.
Okay.
I literally hated school. I never did homework. I went through primary school, I went through high school. I absolutely resented doing homework, right? And I remembered in high school, my younger sister catching up with me, literally. My younger sister, 2 years younger than me, right? Catching up in the same class with me, and she's having fun with it. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not even embarrassed about it, right? Because I used to get a whole ton of Fs.
Yeah.
And I referred to myself as Mr. Fantastic. I'm branding myself. Anyway, I ended up extending my stay in high school by 3 years. So
by 3 years, wow.
Absolutely. So instead of graduating at 16, I graduated at 19.
Instead of 16, you graduated at 19.
At
okay.
19, yeah.
16 is still very early.
Well, kinda. I mean, it's normal.
It's normal?
Interesting. Yeah, 16, 17, right? But I put it this way, I should have finished at 16.
Okay.
But I finished at 19.
Finished 19.
19 and a half, thereabout. And I remember the summer when I turned 19, thinking that I'm going back to school. And then I'm actually preparing my uniform, we use uniform.
Oh, you're like getting ready for school?
Yeah, getting ready to go back to school, right? Yeah. And I'm being told, there's no more school.
You're done.
I'm done, right? And at that point, my parents are going through a divorce, and I'm like, oh my God, my mom is not in the island, she's left. And my father was working on different projects, so I was more or less in this kind of a lonely situation at home, right? My sister, myself. We had other siblings, but they had already, left the roost. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I got to go to work now.
Yeah,
right?
You got to work.
Yeah, I mean, reality is hitting me, and that was hard to take, because I really had no plan. I absolutely had no plan. The school I hated, I wanted to go back to. Now I'm missing it, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I figured I have to do something positive, and I went looking for work, etc. I got this little job with government at the time, paying very, very low. And that kind of triggered in me that I need to kind of self-produce, get an income for myself.
Yeah, do something.
Do something, absolutely. And I made a decision that within 2 years, either I do something substantial or I buy a plane ticket, go to Brooklyn, New York. I had friends in New York, and just bum it out. That was the plan. That was the plan.
You figured it out from New York.
Yeah, see what happens in New York. Because I had some friends who just went to New York, right? And things work out for some, things didn't work out for others. And what happened was that I decided to do accounting, start studying accounting. And accounting and maths.
Smart.
Well,
yeah,
I guess
it's like almost a guaranteed income in accounting.
That was I was told that.
Okay. You were told that.
I was told that.
What about
I was told it's very lucrative, but here's the problem: I hated accounting and maths. At high school, I hated numbers, right?
Yeah.
So here I am. I signed up, and I began saving $50 a month until I was able to afford a deposit to get a small loan to start paying for some accounting courses.
Bro.
Yes, I went the long route.
That's unreal.
But the great thing about it was that what was happening to me at the time was I was discovering that that I should look back on my life, right? I should look back on my life and figure out what went wrong, because I was feeling horrible at the time, right? With my results, with where I was, etc. And somewhere in my head, I believe that the guys who did well, I'm seeing friends of mine who are getting great results, they have great jobs, and I remember they did very well at school. And I'm asking myself, what's the difference between these guys and myself?
Yeah.
Right? And it led me to read a book I could never forget called Super Self by a guy called Charles Gibbons.
Super Self.
Super Self, yes. Which kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I don't think I could label it as the greatest, life-changing book I've ever read. But at that moment, it was the thing, right? And in reading that book, I realized that I was always playing it small. I was always thinking small. I was always limiting myself, right? In as much as where I can go, what I can do, etc. And I selected accounting because at the time, it was lucrative, the opportunities were there, but it was one of those substantial careers, So I figured I could be an accountant, a dentist, building contractor, and I think it was lawyer. But I couldn't afford any of the others. I wanted to study construction. My father wouldn't pay for it for me.
Yeah.
But I figured the low-hanging fruit was accounting. So I went into accounting that way.
There you go.
And I remember...
How did that go?
Okay, exactly. Good question, right? So I remember signing up for 3 courses, failing 2 and passing 1.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was horrible. Yeah, I know.
Save up money and you're like,
exactly, right? So I was determined, and I spoke to some guys. I remember some guys who came to Canada at the time who had just finished at Algonquin, and they said to me they did this particular program, and I investigated the program, and I discovered it's possible to go get a loan, go to Algonquin, and do a particular certificate course, right? And that would help me to get exemptions for my accounting designation, right? I was pursuing something called CG at the time, which right now is CPA. So I became the CPA ultimately.
You became a CPA.
Ultimately, right? So to make a long story short, here's the thing. I came to Algonquin. I made it to Algonquin. I stayed in Canada for 2 years. We're talking 94, 95, thereabout. I went back to St. Lucia, and I stayed in St. Lucia for 6 years as the CFO for the largest credit union there, which was for me a great achievement because I hated accounting. I'm now back in accounting at a senior position. I'm loving it. I'm producing good results, enough to stay there for 6 years. And I got inspired to go and further my studies in the management area. So then I left in 2000, 2001 thereabout, and I went to Europe. And I stayed around London, Wales, etc.
So you went to Europe to continue?
To continue my studies. So I went to Europe. I did an MBA at University of Wales.
University of Wales?
Yes.
That was very nice.
Oh, it's nice. I love it. I love University of Wales. It was a really good cutting-edge MBA. And I also worked for a while. I worked with Lloyd's.
Would you say there's a difference between the MBA over there and an MBA in Canada?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I didn't explore the Canadian one except for the price. So I found the price was much more advantageous in Europe. Not necessarily the price, affordability, because I researched both territories and I found out it's easier to get work in Wales, right? So when I went to Wales...
That makes sense.
Exactly. And that is something a lot of students don't get. You should extend your research on any school you go into to the surrounding area to see the opportunities to make money, right?
That's such a very good point. Never even thought of that. What university are you going to and what's around? Yeah,
absolutely. And so let's dig deeper into this one, because here's what happened. When I researched it, I realized I didn't have money for the full MBA. I had money for the tuition, but not for living expenses. So I said, how can I afford this thing? So when I researched the area, I realized that there are companies like LG, Panasonic, etc., and they're hiring. There was Lloyd's, the insurance, they were hiring, right? And when I went up, I didn't just do the MBA, which I had planned to stay there for a year and a half. I ended up staying there for 6 years.
6 years.
And I was able to fund my education for the MBA, do another master's degree in technology management.
Wow, nice.
Absolutely,
Very impressive.
yeah, and then do something called the ACCA, which is the equivalent of CPA in the UK.
In the UK.
Right? And I did another thing with a London university called Thames Valley University.
That's some serious hustle. Oh my god.
Oh, I was hustling, man. I was hustling.
I love that.
Yes, I was literally living out of my diary. So, for instance, there were times, right, in a day I would have 6 places to go to. So, in my diary, we would have 12 o'clock, go to Tesco, eat chicken and potato. 15 minutes later, go to this job. 2 hours later, go to school.
That's how you gotta do it. You gotta account for every single minute.
Absolutely, right? So I did that for a while, and I stayed there. I loved it. I was kind of becoming a Welsh guy, you know. I loved the culture, etc. But then I was called back to the Caribbean to work for a company. I worked for a couple of great companies between 2006 and 2010. So during that period there, I worked. I had kids, and the thing here is that in going back to St. Lucia in that period, I established a very good company, a consultancy company doing business development, business advisory, etc., particularly for hotels and small companies, right? And I was doing so well, I was kind of debating, should I come to Canada, right? But then having kids, I think they made the decision for me, right? Because it's, in my mind, I've always thought of coming back when I have a family.
Yeah.
Okay? So I came back here in 2010.
Oh yeah, Canada's great for
family.
It's the best. And you didn't go anywhere else since 2010?
No, I go to America occasionally. My mom is in New York, so I visit her. I haven't been to St. Lucia since.
Okay.
You know, although I think after this winter, every winter I'll be going back.
That's a good idea.
So I miss it. But along the way, here's the great thing, right? I have met, what I think the greatest outcome of being in Canada is meeting people.
Yeah.
I have met a number of people, you know, in speaking to you before the show, right? You talk about entrepreneurship, you talk about the focus of your company. I'm delighted to meet people who understand the opportunities and the space of entrepreneurship we have right now.
Absolutely. And with entrepreneurship nowadays, it's become so accessible to everyone, right? Before, it was only accessible to like one group of people.
Yes.
But now, everyone can, who has a smartphone, can open a business. It doesn't mean everyone should open a business.
Correct.
But it means that the ones who didn't have the opportunity to do so before, but had that hustle and drive, now they can do it.
That's such a good point, because in 2007, I worked for a company as a CFO, and this was a hotel, right? And to fill, I think it was 233 rooms, the budget was over $1 million to fill those rooms in the summer.
Those rooms?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. I was talking to someone who was doing the marketing at the time, 2 years ago, and they said it's under $10,000 right now. Under $10,000, the marketing budget to fill up rooms that cost over $1 million, let's say 9 years earlier.
Good Lord.
And here's what has happened. I mean, marketing 10 years ago was pick up a phone, do cold calling, etc. Put it on repeat.
Absolutely.
And that kind of thing, right? Now you have social media. The accessibility to the audience and it's cheap.
So many avenues, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you know about that more than me. The thing here is that when you look at the budget, of $1 million, the impact, you can get the same impact with $5,000.
Yeah.
Right now, in 10 years, right?
Sure, yeah.
And that's where we are. And to your point, if you're thinking of starting a business, you could almost start on a zero budget, which is what I'm teaching people right now, eh?
No, with the organic marketing is insane.
Yep.
But the things you can do on Facebook groups, things you can do with even on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, it's absolutely incredible how many people you can reach out to. And personally, like you go on Instagram and you have someone like your idol, you're a celebrity, and you're a journalist. You message enough of them, you're gonna get a reply.
Yes.
Before, like 20 years ago, those people were like the celebrities. You could never.
Absolutely.
You don't know who they are. You can never talk to them. They just look like people who.
Yes.
They're just unreal to you.
Yes.
But they become human now.
Correct.
And I find that awesome. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, what you're describing here is like influencer marketing, right? And It's like they actually have labels to those things right now. A particular methodology that's different than anything we've seen before, and it's powerful.
Very powerful.
You know, you speak about direct contact to those people. You go on Twitter, for instance, and you could directly tweet someone who is, you know, who
a CEO.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And you message them and
Yes.
you tell them what you're all about. Give them a really heartfelt message.
Yep.
Do it enough times, someone will respond.
And I think here's something I want to just what I call a golden nugget I want to share, right? That here is so right now, let's say at Willis College. So half my day spent at Willis College, and part of what we do is to teach career planning and also getting the job, right? And you find that the majority of people in the world searching for work still use the resume route. Still use the resume route. Here's the thing. Resumes are noisy. It's like a whole ocean of people, all look alike.
Yes.
But if you go to LinkedIn, for instance, or you do what I call information interviews. So let's assume, for instance, you are the CEO of a company. I want to work with your company or a company like you. I would say, hey, Daniyal, can we have a meeting? Can I have a meeting with you? Your name came highly recommended. I have seen your career path and I'd like to do the same thing or similar thing. What I want to do is learn from you. I don't want a job. I just want to learn from you. And if you could help me out with just 10 minutes of mentoring. You meet with me for 10 minutes. And after the 10 minutes, I say, hey, Daniyal, can I leave my business card with you? And is it okay if I add you to LinkedIn, to my LinkedIn profile? Thereafter, maybe a month later, I have about 10, 20 guys like yourself. I could now shoot out, hey, folks, I'm looking for a job. Any advice?
Absolutely. That's such a respectful way to get something, right?
Yes.
And it's not only is it intelligent, it gives the other person like, yeah, this person has value.
Yeah.
He is like he's doing something that.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
And since you have met the person, and since you have seen me, I don't appear like a resume. I appear like a real person. You saw my hunger.
Completely different.
Absolutely.
Even if the other resume has like insane credentials, it doesn't matter anymore. It's about the network and who you know. What the difference between like face to face and a piece of paper is like there's no way to measure it.
Yep. So guys, that's a strategy for you there. Implement that. Now, here's the thing about those strategies, right? No one says it's easy. Because a resume is like you fill out a form and you send it out.
And you send it out.
But they require some effort. For the information interview strategy, it requires some effort. But what I have seen, and I have shared this with students who have implemented it, but what I've seen is the numbers always work out. So as an example, if a student calls, let's say 20 people, 20 people who are decision makers over 3, 4, 5 weeks, when they're ready to go job hunting and they announce it, let's say on their LinkedIn profile, those people have met them, they know them. They will either say, hey, I think I have a vacancy here, or I have a friend
who needs something.
Exactly, right? And that's what social media has done. It has just dismantled the way we do things.
Well, it not only does it make it easier, the other person wants to. They're just like, they almost feel like they're guilty if they don't help you.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
No, that's even on my end, it's on my company. I've had individuals who came and I'm just like, I need to help this guy, right? I don't have positions here, but I know my friend with a marketing firm or like in Toronto who needs it.
Guys, you hear that? That's how it works.
That's how it works.
He's telling you his real experience here. It is true, and I have sometimes a hard time convincing people it works, but it works. If you think about it, it's like
of course, it's a human contact, and for the people who don't do it, either like something they're a lot of them are just lazy to do it.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
If I can say that, they're just too lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because it requires time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
We got to research, right?
Yep.
But the amount of time and effort it requires, I think sending off 1,000 resumes probably takes more time.
100%. I say the same thing too. Statistically, going the resume route takes a longer time to get a lesser quality job than you deserve.
Yeah.
Go the route, put in the effort, do that influencer touch point thing, and get those information interviews. And add them to your LinkedIn profile, simple strategy, and watch the numbers play in your favor.
Yeah, and talk to the CEOs, CFOs, people who head the company.
Yep.
When you talk to when you get in contact with their executives, you get to pass that HR like being treated like a number, kind of.
Yes.
And in the interview phase.
Yes.
And you get directly to like the source.
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
because they write down on social media, right there on LinkedIn.
Right there, yeah.
I mean, it's a powerful strategy.
And I think contacting executives, I think I usually say that Twitter doesn't work well for a lot of things, but I think contacting executives for companies, Twitter is by far one of the best.
Yeah.
Because on Twitter, like those executives a lot of them don't have that many followers, right? They're just there because they want to listen to the news. So that when they get a message, it's unique. They're like, they don't get a lot of messages.
Yep.
And when they read it, they have a much higher rate of responding to you.
I think also in what we say here also, it brings up the point that people should spend time. I think right now, if I'm someone trying to get ahead, I should spend time trying to understand each platform, how they speak, right? How people interact, because they interact differently, right? Like you mentioned Twitter. On Twitter, the interaction is different from on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Facebook is different than on Pinterest and on Instagram, etc., etc. I mean, you would know more in defined terms how they do them myself, because you're in the trenches all the time. But the thing is that I'm observing that, and I think people need to learn that. It's not a matter of who Facebook have more people, etc. But how do people interact? People interact in a way that it's less obtrusive, for instance, to do certain things on certain social media platforms than on others. So for instance, on Pinterest, I could do direct selling easier than they say on Facebook, right? Or on Twitter. And to your point, on Twitter, you can go directly to an influencer more easily than on Facebook. So people should spend time on those things. And it's something I'm trying to infuse with my students at the college, where I say to them, no matter what age you are, you owe it to yourself to learn that conversation, how those conversations go in those areas, learn the new technologies and learn how to get yourself out there, right? Because the more visible you are, the more you share your skills, etc., the more people start to observe you and see you. They see your head above all the noise, and then when it's come time to need someone like you, they pick you.
I love that you're being that's so practical that you're teaching your students. I've had so much experience in looking at professors that they're not giving that. There's a lot of professors in Ottawa that I know of are teaching students 1960s Madison Avenue marketing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And they're teaching them how to make newspaper ads.
Yep.
And this blows my mind.
Yep.
Like
it's crazy.
You're like setting them up for like failure.
Absolutely. It's crazy. I mean, and to me, it's wrong. To me, that's a reason to be fired, because it's not applicable anymore.
It's not. Absolutely not. It's not a. It's not a history class, right?
And I'll share something with you. Last week I was watching something about Lexus. So Lexus have an approach towards what you call customer lifetime value, right? They know the customer lifetime value. They have measured it. They have measured that over the lifetime, the average customer brings in $600,000. Wow. That's over a dozen cars and parts. The value of cars and parts, right? And a lot of other companies don't know that. Now, here's the approach that they're using that's a bit different from a marketing perspective. They focus on retaining customers as opposed to acquiring new customers. So what you find is that they'll do a customer acquisition, but the retention value is so important.
It's so important.
It's so important because if you dig deeper into the numbers, here's something I was actually training on this. Let me share this one with you. So you have a situation where it's common that a dissatisfied customer would tell 9 people, and that's conservative numbers. A satisfied customer tells 3 people. Now, here's the problem with this. A dissatisfied customer moves away from you. So you lose this guy, then you lose 9 of his friends.
Yeah.
He tells 9 people, and then the fact that he didn't tell 3, there are 3 people who don't know, plus the 9.
And this kind of model is like most prevalent, I think, but not just cars, but restaurants.
Thank you very much.
Right?
Oh,
crap.
we in sync here. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And here's the problem. And restaurants keep on wanting to get this new customer and forget about the existing guy.
Exactly, the existing guy.
Because the existing guy have a whole network of people he could bring into you.
Well, like a restaurant, a person who comes to a restaurant, the first 3 times they come, it's a 40% chance that they'll come the first time to the second time, and a 40% chance from the second to third. But the 4th time, it's over 80.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's incredible.
Yep.
Over 80% chance that they will return and they'll tell their friends about it.
Yep.
So those 3 times, you gotta make sure like you treat them like here's a free coupon. Here's like feeling free. Here's a complimentary from the chef. You know, these kind of things, like the best restaurants in Ottawa, at least, they're the ones that do that when I go to them.
Now, you make a point there, which a lot of people think applies only to online marketing. The idea of giving free value up front to retain people and have them come back. But you could do it offline also, like you just described.
Absolutely, yes.
In a restaurant situation. You know, I was listening to, I think it is Dan Kennedy explain a strategy in doing this, and I was so impressed with it, right? So if you have a customer who comes the first time, I think what he was saying, you put a red napkin on the table. So that identifies this is a brand new customer.
I remember that.
You heard about that one?
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, so you can identify who is brand new without anyone knowing anything. And then when that person leaves now, you give them an offer to return, right? So you ask him, well, how was the chicken? He said, fantastic. Okay, you got to try our beef, or you got to try our cheesecake, right? Yeah. And then that person returns for the cheesecake. And then you put a yellow napkin that time, and you say, oh, you got to try this drink. And they keep on coming back. Now, let me throw some numbers at you guys. Oh, check this out. So, restaurant. Let's just imagine or assume the average bill at a restaurant. Let's say a couple goes. How much do you think the guy is paying? Over $100?
$100.
$100, right?
$100.
Okay. Here is customer lifetime value, quick and dirty for restaurant people. And if you own a restaurant, pay attention, right? So, the way people, we do around an average of 10 years to measure lifetime value. You know, some people do 10, some people do 12. But think about this way. If someone is coming to a restaurant twice a month, let's say going out to eat twice a month, at $100 per visit, you're talking of $200 that person is paying, right? Over a year, that's $200 a month. Help me with the math, say, Mr. Accountant. So, okay, 100 is what? $1,000 to $2,400, right? $2,400 over a year. Over 10 years, that's $24,000. We good? My math is good?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm checking. Perfect, right. If you lose that one customer, you've just lost $24,000 over 10 years. That's lifetime value. That's a calculation of lifetime value here in money terms. But here's the issue. With bad customer service, you lose him, you lose 9 of his close companions, and he doesn't tell 3 people about your restaurant. The emphasis in marketing, right? I think people confuse marketing and sales. In my mind, I see marketing as lead generation and sales as lead conversion, right? So the whole thing here is building that relationship so you retain that person, understanding that this person represents not just one visit. They should represent multiple visits over a long time. Think of lifetime value. But also, along with them, they have people who are associated with them that goes to restaurants. And if you enumerate, you're looking at thousands of dollars of loss that a company is incurring because they didn't pay attention to the lifetime value of a customer.
Absolutely. I think that a good example is a good barber. You feel guilty when you don't go to that barber. Even if you're in a different city, you feel guilty because he does such a good job. Like he knows you so well, and that same process should be applied to every business.
100%.
Right?
100%.
A restaurant doesn't matter. Online business, e-commerce doesn't matter what it is.
Yes.
You gotta really get to know each individual customer because they're a human, they're a person.
To emphasize that point, you know this actor called Vinnie Jones?
No.
Vinnie Jones is a boxer or something. You know this guy. He's in lock, stock, and two smoking barrels or something. He's an English guy, right? Okay. But I remember going to a barber in Wales, and Vinnie would come to that barber, but though Vinnie was somewhere way up in Scotland or something he lived at the time, but he would travel for 4 hours or 3-4 hours to come to that specific barber. And the point you're making there is the emotional side of people. People are not just a cash machine. People are emotional creatures. They respond emotionally to things, right? And it's just like when you look at numbers, you should see at the back of those numbers or those emails that you're writing, that this is a real person behind it. And that person have emotions, they have blood, they're thinking of things, they're processing things as a human being, and they're making decisions based on their emotions. As a marketer, we know that people make decisions with their eyes, with their eyes, right? People don't make decisions with their brain, because if they do that, they don't need you.
Yeah.
They don't need
They don't need someone to tell them what to do.
Correct, right? They don't need someone to bring them through a lead flow and direct their attention. You know, I was listening to this thing. There's a book by Robert Cialdini called Persuasion, one of the most powerful books in marketing I've read. He exposed this a ton of concepts, a ton of experiments. And here's something he exposed. He said that there were 2 lead capture pages, right? Selling beds in the back, beds and mattresses in the back end. And on one lead capture page the background was clouds. On one, the background was coins. Right? So the people who would flow through the lead capture with coins, when they go about making a decision to buy a mattress, they would see a series of mattresses and buy based on cost. Those who flow through the one with clouds, they would buy based on comfort. That's the power of marketing right there. It's incredible, right?
It's amazing, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of what happens if you persuade people, if you get involved in how people think or how they behave when they buy stuff. People don't behave as rational as we think. You can draw people's attention to whatever direction you want to take them. And that's the power people like yourself, myself have in marketing stuff to people.
So what do you think is the most powerful marketing tool in 2018?
Most powerful marketing tool? Okay, here's what I think.
Or ad product.
Okay, here's what I think. If I get the question correctly, here's what I think, in my opinion here. I think something that automates marketing and recognizes that 80% when you think of lead conversion happens over 5 repetitions. Okay, so what do I mean by this? We're not in a climate where it's necessary to do an astronomical amount of cold calling. Depending, on the market, perhaps you could argue that certain markets require more personal, direct interaction. But the thing here is that automation in regards to where people are, where people's attention is. So for instance, where's the average person the average person's attention is on mobile?
Yes.
That's where they are, right? So whatever automation could get your message to a mobile device and funnel them through and keep engaging them so they go through the know, the like, and trust process. Mm-hmm. And over time, they interact with your brand, not as a short-run strategy, but a longer-run strategy. Because here's the thing for me. So here's the thing. A lot of people want to do immediate selling. It's very, very difficult. I believe that you sell through giving a ton of value up front.
Absolutely, yeah, you have to.
Right?
A ton of value.
And at the back end, you make that sale. And you make the sale as a result of the person seeing value in the relationship.
Yeah, the person buys your product without your asking him whether he wants to buy it.
Right? And I'm listening to the guy who owns Infusionsoft, and part of my comment came from what he's talking about. He's talking about the fact that if you think of automating the system, 80% of your sales will come from that 5 interactions. You need to get to that multiple interactions with that person, and those interactions have to be giving value, so that they can see you as an integral part of whatever they do. So over time, they develop a thirst for what you have, and they come asking for it, right? So I believe whatever media or medium that feeds into where people's attention is, that's where you should be focusing. Now, let's go a bit beyond so I can answer the question more fully from what I understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think when you look at what's happening with Alexa and Google Home,
it's
audio,
amazing.
Audio. I listen to a podcast every single day, every day, and I think it's more because it's convenient.
It's so convenient.
Absolutely. Nothing could stop me from, driving my car.
Driving and rolling
right?
into a podcast.
Absolutely. You're walking down the street, you put a podcast in. So I believe the future has a lot to do with audio. It's like,
it saves time.
Exactly. It saves time. You could multitask anything whilst listening to something, right? And I think with where people are going now in the context of wanting to upgrade themselves, they're even replacing entertainment with more productive things, right?
Yeah, sure.
I just subscribe to something called Brain FM. Ever heard of Brain FM?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
So Brain FM is a technology where You could either choose to play a background sound that helps you better fall asleep, better produce, or better relax, right? It literally works. It's based on science. It literally works. And what you find is that we're in a world right now of AI, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, messenger bots and all of those things, right? And things are being discovered that people like myself who want to avoid going to the pharmacy, the traditional pharmacy, now we have the alternative of certain technologies giving us solutions, right? So Brain FM, for instance, I put it on in the background if I want to be more productive, and I literally have a boost of energy doing it. I literally extend my productivity from 4 hours to 6 hours.
Yeah, that actually makes sense because it almost like feeds into you, like you feel like you can do way more.
Absolutely, and
it's almost like it's like an untapped resource in your head.
Yeah, and there's certain parts of our brain where there's certain triggers, right? Sound triggers those things, and it's like it just sparks us, and we want to do more. We get excited. I love those technologies. They're safe technologies, and they really, really work.
Before we wrap up, I want to give you the spotlight and just let everyone know what's going on with you, and if you have any plugs.
Absolutely. Okay, so what's going on with me right now? I spend half of my time training adults because I love doing it. My other half, I'm building an online. Not something like, I would say similar in your space, but not directly a marketing agency, but business coaching and business development, right? Currently, I have a website that is, if you go there right now, Complete Marketer. It's a one-page website. It will be launched in about 30 days' time. In the back end of that, I'm providing a few courses. I'm building a few courses. One is focusing on helping people to build recurring income through membership sites. Another one is about training people how to build websites and do designs, etc. And I have a team behind that one. And for me, I think what's really drives me, what's important, is that I really see that big opportunity out there, not just in e-com and the popular things like Bitcoin and those sorts of things, but I think we are in a space right now where, for instance, 8 years ago, if I do a business plan for a client, I would have to put a big financing section there, seek financing from the bank, etc. But with sweat equity, someone could start a serious business if they are willing to invest time into it. So the point here is that I could do a business plan right now if it's zero budget, but with effort, you could have a successful business going. So that is something I'm teaching people also. And when we interact, if you interact with me online, etc., on my site, AntoineVJoseph.com, you could schedule time with me and we could book a discovery session, and you could we could explore whatever your interest is. I do believe passion should drive business, but passion has to be monetized also. If it's not monetized, it's a hobby, right?
Absolutely.
Okay? But we are in the era where, for me, I mentioned being a CPA. I discovered my passion was not accounting. Truth be told, I think, truth be told, right? And I think everyone should discover that thing that excites them, that thing that when you wake up in the morning, you want to do even if they don't pay you, but find a way to get paid. Okay? All right? So that's what I want to leave with. I love it. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Take care, guys.
Ciao.
Bye.